Hi, it's Christa from Island Sewing Center. Welcome back for another video on the amazing Brother Dream Machine. This time we're going to talk about machine embroidery. Okay, in our last video I had mentioned and could not get this little blue cloth out of the plastic bag that it came in. I've got it out. And it says Brother right on it. I hope you can see that. It is specifically for this part of your machine. It is to clean the screen. So we do not recommend that you use fingers on your screen. We recommend that you use your stylus or your pen pal. But, you know, people do touch their screen and dirt does come along. This is the cloth that Brother has provided to clean the screen. Do not spray your screen with Windex or anything like that, because it could damage, and it could also fall down into the bottom here and do damage to the argon gas at the back of the screen. So that's the first part I wanted to just clarify. Okay, we are going to do machine embroidery today, and you notice that my machine is off. You do not want to have your machine on when you are either removing or placing the embroidery arm on. And that goes for any make or model of embroidery machine that's a combination machine. You'll always make sure that your machine is off before putting the arm on. Okay, so we are now ready to do machine embroidery. You'll notice that the machine is off. It is not on. We have the embroidery arm sitting ready to be engaged, but I wanted to point out this little flap right here. That is where this male end engages to the computer part of the machine, in other words the brains, through the connection and the sliding of the embroidery arm in there. And when you hear that click, that's the click, because there is a handle underneath here which releases it and then clicks back in. So there's right here is a handle on the very right hand side. I'll try and move over a little bit so you can see. My hand is down here and it releases it. The machine should be on a good solid piece of furniture that can withstand the weight. She's a heavy girl and it needs to be good and solid. Rocking and rolling and vibration are going to be the enemy. You'll notice that my machine is in park. It is not engaged halfway down here, and I still have not put on my embroidery foot. Okay, so the embroidery arm is on. The machine is still off. I just want to point out a couple of things. One of the little pieces that you get is the 1/4 inch marking foot. I tend to leave that bobbin cover on my machine. You don't need it for machine embroidery or anything, but I just have gotten in the habit of doing it. The other thing is the last time we were sewing, so I had both sewing thread and a wound bobbin with thread that I had wound off of this spool. Do not use sewing thread when you are using your machine to do machine embroidery. It's a different weight, it behaves differently. What you need to do is, if you have embroidery thread like this one is, this is from one of our beloved companies, which has now just been renamed Hab Plus Dash. And they sell amazing glide thread, which we use both for all our machine embroidery and for our long arming, and we sell it in the store as well. We've really come to love this thread. It's a 40 weight. It comes in 1,000 meter spools and 5,000 meter spools, and your machine with the thread stand can take both. So because you're using a different weight, you need to use a corresponding bobbin weight, either machine embroidery bobbin thread that you wind your own bobbin, or like in this case, this is a pre-wound bobbin, and this company sells them in a multitude of colors, and also L size and 15A. In the case of this machine, it's a 15A bobbin. You actually get about 2.5 more thread on a pre-wound than you winding bobbin yourself, so it's cost effective. Now I wanted to show real quick that you pop, I still don't have the machine on. Before I start my machine embroidery, I actually just pop this cover off, take my bobbin case out, make sure that my housework is all done. I've gone inside and cleaned up any dust or any little dust bunnies, and sure enough I caught one, and then I proceed. It's just a good habit to get into, especially if you're doing a project and you want to start a project. You start with a clean bobbin case and you pop your bobbin in. There is a little bump right here on the side where there's a tiny little screw, and then there's another screw here, so it's in between the two screws. That corresponds with a sensor right here on your machine, which then senses your bobbin being empty or being full. So you have to make sure that that bumps right against there. There's little hooks right here that then it just pops right in and slides back in again. And you'll hear it. Did you hear the little click? So now I'm going to take my 15A bobbin, and actually on the original, I have the 1/4 inch one on here now, sorry. But on the original one there's actually a drawing, and there's a drawing here, or a diagram of how the bobbin goes in. We like to teach it in the store as if it goes in with the letter P, this being P standing for perfect. So this being the top part of the P and this being the base of the P. You don't want the letter G, it's going to cause all kinds of problems with tension. So you just pop it in, slide it underneath the first, around, and there's a cutter right there, and that is now garbage. Alright, so now I'm going to put the embroidery foot on. I have the foot here, and you'll notice that it does not connect when the ankle, this is what we call the ankle where the feet attach to, is still connected to the machine. So Brother includes a little screwdriver. It's a funny little thing with wings that then just allows you to release, release the release the embroidery foot or the ankle, and there it is. Thank you. And then this, then hopefully my hand is not in your way, replaces it, and you finger tighten screw it in with just a tiny little scooch of the screwdriver. You are not torquing on this. It's not, you don't want to strip these screws. And at the very back is the port. Let me see if I can feel it, where this snaps in, and there you are. You are ready to do machine embroidery. Now while the machine is embroidering, every once in a while you should check and make sure that this screw, vibration again being the enemy, has not loosened up over time. But please don't reef on this screw and tighten it in there so badly that you script this screw, because they're hard to replace. And you are ready to do machine embroidery. So let's turn the machine on, and we'll interrupt the song really quick. I have gotten in the habit of using my pen pal as my stylus, but it does come with a stylus, and it's good to use both. I mean, it makes no difference. They're both made for the machine. Just sorry about being in your way there. So we're turning the machine on, and normally what I do is I sit here and I have my Zen moment when the machine is doing this, and I breathe. But today, we're going to cut it short. Okay, so you notice the first thing is that I get a sad face with a little tear. Isn't it cute? It says the needle is down, press the needle position. And so all I do is press that, and look at that, she's ready to go. You get a second warning that says that the carriage of the embroidery unit will move. Keep your hands, etc. away from the carriage. And by the way, coffee cups full of coffee, or in your case, if it's a wine glass, anywhere in this area is going to go flying. So make sure that everything is out of your way, and it will do the X and Y axis dance. Okay, she's ready to go. It's that simple. Now, I could go to sewing, and this would move aside and allow me to sew with the embroidery arm on. You can sew with the embroidery arm on. Let's just do it. You get a warning saying that it's going to move again. And there she is in sewing mode. But we don't want to do that, so go home, go to machine embroidery, and presser foot's going to move, and the carriage, and boom, there you are. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so each one of these is a folder, and in each folder, depending on which upgrade you paid for, is going to be built-in designs. And please take the time that you need. Brother advised all of the dealers that what they did was they took all of the built-in designs on the on their embroidery machines, and they redigitize them, so their stitch out is really, really good compared to how they may have been in the past. They're way better now. I love the fact that this last update we were able to do beautiful buttonholes on a large scale, but in an embroidery machine. There's going to be Disney, of course, and yes, they are copyrighted. You're not allowed to sell them. You may give them as gifts, but you're not allowed to sell them. And there are fonts, beautiful fonts, all kinds of sizes, decorative fonts, including fonts for variegated threads. I love this last one that we got with the upgrade, where you can take any font and they're on a large scale and add someone's name into the middle of it. They're really, really pretty, and they stitch out like butter. They're absolutely beautiful. Frames, tons and tons of frames, and all shapes and sizes. Again, decorative stitch ones. These are all for quilting. You go ahead and play around with them. But the big question that we often get is, okay, I have a USB stick, I have purchased some embroidery designs, I'm not really interested in using the built-in designs today. How do I go about bringing them from my website where I purchased them onto my embroidery machine and then into my hoop? So your machine is now ready to go. You can either use any of the built-in designs, or you can purchase designs off of any of the websites that sell embroidery designs in PES or DST format, which is what this machine reads, and we can go ahead and embroider. And that's what we're going to do in the next episode. One last thing I wanted to show you, though, is that before you turn your machine off and you remove your embroidery frame, which is your embroidery arm, you're going to park your machine. We say parking, I don't know if that's the actual term for it or not, but when you park it, it says the presser foot is going to move up and down, and then the carriage of the embroidery arm is going to move. And that was the position that you saw this embroidery arm in when we first started this video. This is now outside of the X and the Y axis, and it is safe for you to turn the machine off and to remove the embroidery arm. So we'll come back and we'll talk about machine embroidery and hooping and everything else. Bye-bye.